This is a nasty, infected, mushy enchilada, the podcast.
Sounded like the Nasty Patty over here.
What?
The Nasty Patty from SpongeBob.
This ain't about no Western shit. This is some Japanese cartoons.
How dare you defile the name of one of the greatest animated shows of all time?
I thought you were about to say the greatest anime.
No, I said animated show.
All right, well, that's not what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about episode 8 of 5 outstanding winter 2018 anime that we're covering because they're the best.
And one shit tier show
and we have exquisite
from the
taste.
past.
Hello? No, Mob Psycho is great.
I thought but if the shows we're watching now are outstanding,
Mob Psycho
has to be shit tier.
No, it's even outer standing.
No, I thought we were doing opposite
Outstandinger.
world.
No.
Okay.
This isn't that deep.
Damn it.
All right, what show are we doing first?
I don't know. What do you want to do first?
Oh yeah, I'm Whooper.
Yeah, and I'm Grunchler.
All
But
right.
you probably figured that out by now.
Oh, sure. What if aliens are listening to this and their numerical system starts at 20? They would click this one first.
Well, then I'm really sorry that you missed our better years of history if you started with the 2000s.
Our better weeks. Oh, I thought you were talking about this podcast.
No, I was talking about humanity in general.
Okay, let's forget about everything we just said. What show is first?
Kokkoku, since we're dealing with time.
Okay, I see. This is episode 8 of Kokkoku, and Sagawa turned into the Hulk.
Yep.
Is there anything else to say about what went on in this episode?
I mean, there was... I don't want to say it was a snooze fest, because there was, some fights and some stuff got thrown around.
Dude, really? You thought it was kind of a snooze fest?
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, even though this might have been the most action-packed episode. I mean, before this, Jury has been pushing specters out of people, and the grandpa's been teleporting them around, and they've been dodging, knife strikes and stuff. But in this one, Sagawa literally turned into the Hulk and started brutalizing people.
Started just throwing stuff at people.
Yeah, or is that all he did?
He didn't hit anybody.
He threw a knife through the stomach of that blonde thug guy who found the Master Stone.
And another guy. It was 2 people at once.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I missed that. I took a screen cap of it, though.
Yeah, it's 2 people at once.
That's pretty badass.
Right? No, but when he was fighting Majima and Jury, he hit nobody.
Yeah, that's true. When he was up on the roof. But that was in the second act.
Yeah.
That was past the commercial break. I seem to remember him doing more than just throwing a knife through a couple guys at the start.
Yeah, he snapped the guy's neck.
Yeah, he choked a guy by the neck and forced him to kill the other guy, because he wanted to see if there were any heralds still left in stasis that were protecting the stalled. So he forced someone else by choking them to commit murder. I actually watched that episode literally hours ago, and I already forget how that scene.
No, because that wasn't what was happening. Everyone from the Genuine Love Society was dead except this guy. He's like, I can kill you now, or you can help me with an experiment, and I might let you live. He wanted the last guy that was remaining alive to try to kill Jury's brother.
Right, Tsubasa or whatever his name is.
And Jury comes in at the last second and expels that guy's specter, and then they teleport away.
That's how it's resolved.
And
right.
he's like, well,
Jury shows up.
Can't do this anymore.
Yeah,
gotta go.
Maybe it was kind of a snooze fest, because I'm already flaking on details. It's weird that when the big bad, the main antagonist, finally reveals himself to be some horrific monster, who's had this specter inside him probably the whole time. Even before he went into stasis, he's probably been experimenting on himself or something. Or was it implied that he was just able to be so in tune with the jellyfish?
He was in tune with it because of what he had read from the Genuine Love Society's texts.
Oh, so their religion is real.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, that's what they said, that it was real, but it had stopped being followed in the mid 1800s.
Well, I remember that. Society had been modernized, and they were out of the Warring States era or something like that. Society had changed, modern life had changed, so there wasn't a need for the religion anymore. Mm-hmm. The course of events when he was describing it was something along those lines. But I didn't realize that they had also said that, oh yeah, everything was true. I mean, I guess the guy who wrote their scriptures did live 500 years. So he would have to be pretty legit.
Yeah, and the whole time he was just experimenting with stuff in stasis, apparently.
I mean, you might even say that if someone lives for 500 years, they're too legit to quit life. You know what I mean?
You can't see me, but I'm glaring at him right now.
Yeah, I mean, I want to say that this episode was a step up from the last one, because the last one was the really silly one where the guy finds the stone by just like jumping up in a tree and it's there.
There's some water disturbed here. I should check this tree.
Yeah.
Hey, I found a stone, guys.
Yeah, this one was... I continue to be baffled, though, by the presence of the... whoa. My mic just...
I jumped.
I continue to be baffled by the presence of the guy who set up the recording equipment in the Yukawa's home. That was his role, right? That's why he's...
Yup. And he's being paid.
Yeah, and he's being paid, so he's loyal, quote unquote loyal to Sagawa for that reason. But I didn't really understand him, like Sagawa being willing to leave that guy in charge of the GLS in the last episode. And then in this one, his role appears to be even stronger. Like he's getting a bunch of dialogue, and you even hear his internal thoughts about the whole situation with the Yukawa family versus...
Everyone else is dead. They need someone to monologue that isn't the villain.
Yeah, I kind of feel like that's the case. They're beefing up side characters' roles because there's so few players. Time's frozen.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people's motivations in this show are questionable or kind of shaky. I mean, the guy who's with Majima is only there because she said she'd sleep with him.
No, that's not true. I mean, that's probably why he's with her, is because he's attracted to her. But it was the other guy, the bigger guy with the spiky hair, who said, "If I help you, will you let me fuck you?"
And then she died, and then he died,
dies, right.
And the other guy who he's with now is like, "Does the same deal apply to me?"
No, he didn't say that, did he?
Yeah, I'm almost positive.
Okay.
And then she was just like, "Sure."
No, that seems a little out of character for him, though, right? Because he was always blushing around her. That's it. That doesn't seem like the kind of thing he would say. He's kind of like the monster with the heart of gold or something like that. That seems to be his trope.
I remember there being that specific dialogue from two people. It may have been someone else. I'm not entirely. I think it's the guy who's there now.
Man,
though.
we're constantly discussing things that we've forgotten from past episodes on this podcast,
and we almost always watch them day of.
Yeah.
Maybe you just watch them further back.
That either means that we're retarded or these shows are all bad.
I think it's both.
I'm gonna go with the shows are bad because I'm a genius.
It's like, I'm not flawed, so everything else must be.
That's right. Especially when it comes to anime.
And we had the dad with the kid.
Just forget about him. He's just impotent as a character.
I want to control the stone so I can raise this family out from the shithole that I put it in.
All right.
Here's a toy.
I actually wrote how disappointing that this is what the show has turned into after seeing that Sagawa had undergone that transformation. He's not the Hulk at first. At first, he's like an even beefier, like veinier gray guy, and then he sheds that skin somehow and turns into a green guy.
The way he explained it is that
the protein, right?
Yeah, he essentially allows himself to let go enough to where the Herald transformation begins, and then reels it back in,
right,
to where he's in control again, and then he's whatever shape he wanted to be.
It wasn't so much that he was allowing it to I didn't see him as allowing the transformation to begin and then stopping it, although that does make sense. I thought it was more that scene was more focused on the fish that he had eaten, because there was that talk from the camera bro about, oh, you let the Spectre consume that protein that you just ate. So I didn't see him as like letting the Herald take him over for a second, but that does kind of make sense. especially with the way his transformation looked. Like it did seem as though he was gonna lose himself in that big mass of like flesh.
Yeah, which is just the dust that comes off of, or comes off the heralds
or the handlers. Yeah,
handlers, heralds. They're the same thing.
Yeah,
Literally.
The dust, like the ashy looking stuff. Man. So there's always a cliffhanger with this show. What was the cliffhanger this time?
They got some of the grandpa's blood, and then they put that blood into this stone, which expels the grandpa's specter.
We haven't actually seen the specter leave his body. We've just seen him
supposed to happen.
Right. We've seen him keel over.
And we've seen the little inside heartbeat from the specter. They're like, da-dum,
right.
Or doki doki.
Right. Exactly.
Did I get that right?
Yes.
That's cool.
Right. So yeah, we did see him. You know, he's like in pain. But I mean, given the way that this show has resolved its cliffhangers in the past, you have to figure that within 30 seconds of the beginning of the next episode, the grandpa's going to be all right. I don't think they're...
That or Jury's going to be like,
be gone, fuck!
Oh my God, Facebook memes. Just end my life.
I'm sorry.
Okay. What were we talking about? I just got so mad.
The end of the... The end of the episode where the grandpa's in crisis because he's about to lose his jellyfish.
Right. But what?
My theory is that Jury is just going to expel his.
Right. That's what you were. Okay. But that would leave them without their teleport device because that's what he is.
Yeah, I don't need it.
Okay. Well, I mean, all right. Yeah. I mean, I hope that the show shakes itself up somehow and gets rid of a major character. That might help me stay awake while I'm watching it.
Maybe. Let's hope so.
How about another anime?
Another sort of
Okay.
Episode.
Right.
Soda.
Which one should we do next?
I don't know. Isn't this your episode?
Oh, you mean am I the host?
Yeah, because we alternate.
Sure. Let's do your favorite. Wait, that's not your favorite. This is your favorite.
Ramens.
Yeah. Ramens.
Hakata Tonkotsu Ramens.
That was
Hakata Tonkotsu Ramens.
It's like 80% correct.
We'll
just go with that.
Sure.
This was an episode.
It was an episode. With as many with curveballs thrown by first graders.
I actually kind of I don't know if you intended, like, if the intended meaning behind that phrase was the twists weren't very exciting, like there was no spin, because I agree, like
I saw everything coming.
I was just yawning. Well, okay, first of all, what was your prediction? Because last week you predicted that he was
I predicted the one method he was going to use in order
to elude his captors,
and he didn't use that. He did something different.
You said that he was going to like clone his PC and send and have a signal originate from like a million different places.
Yeah.
But he didn't do that. He instead did some thing where he puts a laptop in a bathroom and then something that
controls his laptop from his phone.
Yeah, using homebrewed malware, according to the show.
Which essentially is just, I mean, these are applications you can just download from the internet. Like,
could you download an application like that from the internet
to control your computer with your phone?
Yeah,
absolutely.
Oh, really?
TeamViewer.
Okay. Well, but the show said it was homebrewed malware, so that sounds really technologically awesome and cool.
It does.
Wow, I love this show now.
The only homebrew that I have
is the coffee that you're drinking right now.
Yeah, although to be fair, it's just a Keurig. Doesn't really count.
Did you brew it in your home?
I suppose.
Then it counts.
Awesome. Hey, I'm a hacker too now.
We're all hackers on the inside. Okay, so you know how the whole plot of this episode is the pursuit of Mushroom Head by the bad guys.
M3, yeah.
Yeah, M3. I guess that's what they were called. All the scenes where the two members of M3 are like in their little room in front of the lab, in front of their setup, you know, the monitors, discussing what Mushroom Head is doing to evade their
Oh, this
capture.
is what he's doing. Now here's what I'm gonna do to counter it.
I was like about to fall over from boredom as that was happening. It was so terrible.
Jazz music intensifies.
I was hoping that music would start playing during that scene, because being the ending theme, it indicates that the episode is over. So I was just praying to hear that tune come through my speakers. This episode was not good, in my opinion. I don't care about... M3 was introduced just last week, right?
Yes.
As well as Macro Hand, the hacker who they already killed. And Macro Hand was supposed to be the guy who was interfering with Mushroom Head's dad.
Right.
Okay. So all this little miniature arc, or this story, whatever you'd like to call it,
it was an excuse to expand on Mushroom Head's backstory.
Yeah.
More than anything else.
And that's fine. You can tell stories about characters in order to, inform your audience of who they were, and that affects their perception of who they are now. But the element of intrigue that they tried to add to it with the multiple hacker groups, or the multiple hackers, and the
bait and switch at the end.
Yeah, with the wig, because you knew that the wig, like, it's Chekhov's wig. If it gets introduced, you know that something's going on. So when
you also see in the security camera footage a guy in a hoodie come and sit down, I was like, there's no way that's somebody that's going to switch out as he goes into the bathroom.
Yeah, the two members of M3 were not, they were looking at each other, and neither one of them had the monitors in their line of sight as Lynn
goes
in
into
the
the
hoodie
bathroom.
went into the bathroom.
Right.
I noticed that, and I was like, who is that? I didn't realize what was going on until the guy captured him, like until the lights went off in the family restaurant, and the guy who loves murder, the third member of M3.
Yeah,
he barges in and
the boxer.
Yeah, he barges in and kidnaps somebody with blonde hair, and I thought at that point, oh, there's no way that's the guy. It's someone wearing a wig. Yeah, I wasn't a fan of any of this episode, man. I was just dozing away.
I liked that in order to get people off of Blackleg's trail, that he put a larger bounty on the unfortunate hitman who's now one of their friends.
Saito?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thought that was funny.
Yes, that's pretty much been Saito's whole role, is he's just like a puppy that gets kicked in order to kick off, a new story, or a new... Just for reasons. He's also
the pitcher on their baseball team.
Is that right?
Yeah.
No, that's right, because the one time that he killed somebody, it was with a baseball.
Or he thought he killed someone.
He thought he
hadn't
had
actually.
Yeah. Yeah, I can kind of get behind the idea of a character who's always in trouble like that. That's kind of their thing. Like on all the Mike Schur comedies that are on TV, like The Office and Parks and Recreation, there's always one character who's getting shit on all the time, like Toby or Jerry, aka Larry, aka
Gary.
Yeah, all of his different names. There's always a character like that on those shows. So Saito is that character on this show, and that's not a bad thing, as long as the show doesn't try to tell like a really deep and meaningful story about him in the future. Because I don't think that's possible at this point.
No. Especially not with the small amount of time allotted left.
Yeah, you mean with 4 episodes left.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Is it 13?
No, it's 12.
9, 10, 11, 12. I can't count.
There you go, man. You know the trick. Subtract and add 1. Although I don't know if that's I don't know if that's part of the Common Core now, so maybe that's just going to fade out of...
No, it'll be add 20 and subtract like 17 or some stupid shit.
Yeah. Oh yeah, so we learned that his dad actually wubbed him very much
and just wanted to set him free.
Yeah. When he has that, when it's revealed, oh my God, when it's revealed that he's talking to his butler and he actually says, that kid's really messed up, so we need to set him free. I was just thinking to myself, if you, his father, are declaring him like a total lost cause and a nut, where do you feel any like sense of responsibility, or because the guy's saying it with a smile on his face. It kind of fits the scene because we're learning that his dad actually hadn't put out a hit on him.
Right.
So we're supposed to feel like, oh, I'm glad that I'm learning this. I'm happy that Mushroom Head's dad is not, like a total monster. But if you're declaring your own son like messed up in the head and having him sent away, would you really be smiling like that?
Maybe he realized that his son was a lot like him when he was growing up, and that's what he would have wanted when he was younger.
But what? Still, even so, why would that make you smile? Wouldn't that make you really sorrowful to realize that your problems have been passed down to your child, and then now you're going to have to divorce yourself from your child in order, like, for his own good?
If you truly love her, you'll set her free.
Yeah,
isn't that the trope?
Yeah, but in those kinds of situations, in when those tropes are going on, the character shouldn't be smiling. It should be like a bitter departure,
Okay. I guess.
Maybe the show isn't isn't thinking about it that hard.
I guess not.
I thought the characters in the show were really fun when I first started watching it, and now I'm not really interested in them.
That's how you felt about most of the shows.
What, you mean the winter ones we're watching now?
Yeah. 4 of them.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, the show that from this season that I think is really good, we're not watching. So
Tooi wa Agami.
Yeah, After the Rain. Koi wa Ame Agari. That show, I get more and more invested in the characters with every episode. That doesn't mean that it's amazing. That means that I really like it.
Good writing goes further than good animation for memorability. That
would be a really interesting topic to discuss for like a lengthy period of time. If you had seen like hundreds of anime, because then we would have a lot of examples to pull from.
I mean, the same thing goes with Western television, any sort of television or film or media.
Yeah, good characters mean they can make up for lousy visuals, but you're really looking for both.
And that's why Firefly was so good.
I think we may have mentioned more live action American series in this podcast so far than we have anime. So let's fix that by moving on to another show.
How about we do Place Further Than the Universe?
All right. Did you like this episode? Oh my gosh.
Yes.
You did? Okay. So they actually left the port.
I was right.
Yeah, I think I predicted in the last episode.
You owe me $1.
No, I
yes,
really?
There's a podcast
proof.
Oh my gosh. Proof. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, we'll have to go back and listen to that. I have $1 lying around.
Got some word jambalaya going around here.
Speaking of word jambalaya, Sora Yori Tooi Basho is the name of this anime.
It sounds like the name of a rapper.
And I do think that it had a pretty good episode this week.
I liked it too.
I just like the fact that they are going to Antarctica now after 8 episodes.
So they're going to be there for what, 4?
Well, that's assuming that they actually set foot on the continent in the next episode.
I think that would.
Because they haven't. At the very end of the episode, we see a bunch of
icebergs.
Would you really say that they're icebergs?
A giant floating mass of ice.
I don't think they were that giant.
Is an iceberg.
Doesn't an iceberg need to be? Isn't there like a classification system? Like Pluto's not a planet anymore, so chunks of ice that aren't big enough to be called icebergs are called something else. They just seemed a little like kind of dwarfs to me. Not like ice cubes, but
I mean they're not like, oh, we sunk the Titanic icebergs, but they're still.
Are those icebergs? If they're flat, are they icebergs?
Sure.
Okay. Well, I guess I learned something new today, although I'm not really convinced.
Have you ever seen the underside of an iceberg?
Yeah, I know that you only see the tip of the iceberg. That's where the phrase comes from. But I still feel as though isn't it more like a sheet of ice when it's flat like that?
Can be.
I don't know why we're talking about this. they haven't seen the continent proper yet.
No, not yet.
So
And the expedition leader said we have a long way to go at the end of the episode as well.
she did?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
You start seeing that stuff like 10 to 15 degrees away from the continent itself.
Huh. All right. Well, yeah. Well, that's not encouraging because maybe they won't even get to Antarctica in the next episode. I mean, episode 9 is already out, so people who actually the rare Sora Yori fans who are actually listening to this somehow having found it on YouTube, they probably already know whether the girls are off the boat yet. So no spoilers.
No spoil.
Yeah, no spoil, please. I mean, they've left at this point, so they probably will be. They'll probably set foot, even if it's at the end of episode 9. They'll probably get to the continent.
My theory is the end of episode 9.
All right. Yeah, and so that's what happened at the end of this episode. But the bulk of it was them getting accustomed to their new routine on the ship, or attempting to get accustomed to it. Because
interview people, exercise, try not to throw up a lot, peel some food.
Yeah, some potatoes, some taters.
Saltwater baths.
It wasn't a saltwater bath. It was that they had a whole bunch of like salt water in their hair.
No, they bathe with salt water.
Really?
Yeah. Then you rinse yourself off with clean water because you only have so much fresh water.
Okay. Another detail that I missed.
It's not like you have unless they had a desalinator on board or something.
You might assume that they would, right? Since it's a gigantic ship going through the ocean.
I don't know, actually. That's something I'd have to look up.
I would have to rewatch this episode, and that would take 20 minutes of my life.
There's worse ways to spend 20 minutes.
Yeah, but there's other anime to watch. But that's a topic for another time.
I did really like this episode. I especially liked all the signs across the ships that they would freeze on.
What did they say?
Like how, like just telling on the bathroom on the outside there was a valve that was telling you how to flush it. You had to open the valve, wait a couple seconds, and then reclose it. Otherwise, water would keep running through it. And how to run like the washing machines and everything. And they had some sort of like knot tying contest that they put up a flyer for. And the winner gets a steak, but you have to bring your own steak knives. And the steak that was pictured was from 3 years ago.
I remember seeing something about a steak.
Yeah. And I paused and read the whole screen. There was a bunch of stuff on it.
Yeah, I'm not really in the habit of pausing and reading signs.
I thought they were really interesting because it does kind of give you a little bit of a look into the way that everything is done on one of those expedition ships because it's very much not normal.
Very much not normal.
It's extra not normal.
Gotcha. I know what you're saying. Yeah, I mean,
I'm just saying it terribly.
I should have paused and read those signs. I guess I'm just not into the show enough to do that, or maybe I was just eating, or I was distracted, or I'm just a bad anime watcher guy. Yes, I do remember that the signs were there. I remember something about a steak. I remember the one in the bathroom too. It had a heart on it. There was a heart at the end.
And the girls had their own a sign on their door. It's like teenage girls' room. Knock before entering.
I mean, ideally, you would knock before entering anyone's room, but
especially them, I guess.
Yeah, I guess because the show made the joke last week about they're not legal,
right?
That didn't even really seem like a joke, honestly.
It was more of like, you stay away.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a good episode. I liked it. I like episodes where there's a definitive like goal, I guess, that the characters have, and there's a routine that they want to get into the habit of carrying out, and they, at first they're struggling, and then it seems as though all hope is lost, and then finally something starts to fall into place, and they eventually assume the routine.
Yeah.
But the problem, the issue that I had with this episode is that all it takes for them to like stop being miserable and seasick and like depressed is they go outside while a storm is raging and causing the boat to like practically keel over, And they go outside and they hold onto the rail and they look at the waves and they're like, "Oh, subarashi!"
Umi,
Like you could die. And what is this? How is the sight of the waves when you are seasick going to inspire you to like power through your seasickness?
I don't know. I've never been seasick, and I've lived on a boat for a week.
When did you live on a boat for a week?
We went to the Caribbean
Oh yeah,
a long time ago.
yeah.
But I didn't. I slept on a boat, ate on a boat, everything for a week straight, no problem. So I don't know what that's like.
Yeah, I've never gotten seasick either, and I have been on boats, not for a week at a time, but you know, I've been like out on the Chesapeake for a full day. You were with me. That was when we were younger.
Yeah. Those are much calmer waters than the ocean, though.
Yeah,
to be fair,
That's true.
As well as big ships don't move as quickly. It's like these giant rocking motions left, right, and it takes a long time. So it could be more unsettling, I suppose.
Yeah, and the show did a good job of, it didn't necessarily do a good job of animating that, but it did pay that concept plenty of lip service via other characters. And you also got to see, that the laptop had the piece of tape over it, the little like figure of a bear
just
or
fell
something.
over, and and they were like sliding around their bunks and stuff too.
Right. And then you see after a while, because the plushie falls over at first, and then the next time you see it, its limbs have been taped onto, the desk,
right, so that it doesn't fall over
up
again.
So yeah, I liked the idea that it was really tough for them to get accustomed to their new surroundings, and but then all of a sudden they were just better. And
maybe the medicine kicked in.
The medicine. Mm.
I mean, they did talk about, you can take medication for seasickness, and they discussed that.
Did they actually take some?
Yes.
Dude, why am I not remembering anything?
Don't know.
Oh, boy.
This is the reverse of the problem we used to have, where I didn't remember anything, and you remembered everything.
Yeah. Maybe by the time we finally stop doing this podcast, you will be a literal anime god, and I'll be like a drooling idiot.
And we'll be thoroughly prepared to dissect Cowboy Bebop.
Oh, no, I don't want to touch that show.
Oh, no. Yeah,
It's 3 good, 6 me.
We could do the movie, though.
I suppose.
Shorter. Anyways, I liked the episode.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
Parts about it I liked. Yep. There's their little realization, we're not stuck here. We wanted to be here. This is what we chose. Let's go look at whales.
Yeah.
And some icebergs. And now we're cool.
I still don't think they're icebergs, but we can Google that later.
Look at these frozen masses.
All right. Next.
What's next? Evergarden?
Sure, why not?
All right.
Episode 8.
We got a flashback episode.
To Violet's War Days. How'd you like it?
Back in A.N.I.M.E. That was aight.
It's interesting that you would say that, because you are like into war and
Mr. Action
and violence and firearms and that sort of very like big brash conflict just in general. But you just thought this episode was aight. So why is that?
Because it was out of tone for the rest of the show.
Out of tone. Tell me more.
Tell you more. Well, the whole show has been, essentially Violet's journey through learning how to function as a human being.
Yeah, pretty much.
And so we got a flashback episode that was just war, fighting. Let's see how badass we can make this 12-year-old girl look. And throw in a couple shots about the Major caring for her. Wrap it up, tie a bow on it, send it out the door.
Okay, but you can describe...
It's an oversimplification.
Yeah, you can describe anything using those broad strokes, and you can make anything sound simple. Well, maybe not, like Charlie Kaufman films, but...
I think just a lot of the footage we saw of the Major and Violet interacting, I think probably about half of it we'd already seen.
That's true. They did rip the... it was episode 1, I think, right?
The opening was ripped straight out. We got a little more
scene.
Got a little more surrounding it. Like, she chose that brooch because it reminded him of his eyes.
I think we already knew that, actually.
If we did, I don't remember. So
okay, I think we already knew that. But But yeah, it's true that they lifted a lot of footage from episode 1, which is okay. I mean, anime is it's basically it's based on the idea of being as cost effective as possible, and that includes reusing
stock footage
frames. But
Getty Images, save me.
Sure. It's true that I mean, a lot of what we saw in this episode we already knew had happened. And
Right.
not just the scenes that were reused. Everything. We already knew, for example, one of the most interesting scenes for me was the one where Gilbert and Claudia, Claudia being the red-haired guy who runs the auto memory doll company.
Right.
You see them as they're both military guys and they're friends. They're talking it up at some base, you know.
Yeah, just like, we're gonna attack this.
But we already knew that they were friends from their military days. That was something we already knew.
Right, that was established from the first episode.
Yeah,
when the Major left Violet in
His
Claudia's
care. No, he didn't leave her in Claudia's care, but he left her in the care of the Evergardens, the family. But he did want her to work for Claudia, which is something that's teased in their conversation in this episode.
Right. It's like, I'll start a company and then I'll hire you after all this is over.
Yeah,
And
or maybe I'll hire her.
or maybe I'll hire her. Ha ha he he ha ha. Oh shit, you got shot in the face.
Yeah. So we already knew that they were friends. We already knew that Violet was working for him because it was his request. We already knew that the big battle would happen at the church, and that's where the Major would lose his life. You know, supposedly. I don't know what I mean. I hope he's dead.
That'd be a pretty shitty left field thing to pull at this point. I've been surviving in the woods for 2 years on grubs.
Mushrooms, man.
Grubs and mushrooms.
Yeah, and you know, squirrels.
Leaves.
Sure. Exactly.
Yeah, I wouldn't like that.
Yeah, I mean, I hope he's dead. But we already knew that he died at the church here. Everything that we saw in this episode, I think we had already learned.
We just got more footage on both sides of what we already knew.
Yeah, we got to see her
Kill some
doing
people.
stuff,
And
being a weapon. And it was interesting to me. You remember in episode 7, which is the one before this, the scene where she is attempting to jump across the lake because that's the way that their play is going to wrap up. The main character is going to use the wind sprites and, you know, jump across the lake to get back to her dad.
right.
So in this episode, you actually see Violet do a similar maneuver where she jumps most of the way across a river
And-
that the characters are fording in order to
And vaults over like 6 people's heads.
yeah, and then cuts some guys' throats and stuff. I wish well, maybe, you know what? I was about to say that I wish the show had been more brutal and really shown Violet to be a tool of war, like really just messing people up. But I mean, maybe that's not necessary. You know, she's already come pretty far. I don't know if it needs to be spelled out so, like, you know, so clearly that she was once so different. So that's probably not necessary. I mean, this episode would have been an opportunity to do something like that. That would have maybe been something different, something we didn't already know or that we hadn't seen.
Right.
But I don't know. I don't know, man. It was it felt like, I don't know. It didn't feel like the kind of flashback where, you know how sometimes you watch a flashback episode and it's a real revelation and you see the character in a completely different light now.
Yeah.
This was the opposite of that.
This was, we already knew this, except now we know it with more detail.
Yeah. It was we already knew this, the animation.
Sometimes those are cool.
Really? Don't you always want there to be something new dropped in a flashback that even if it's not like a new
I don't know, unless it's like just some epically cool action sequence in a flashback. You know, those can be cool.
epically cool scenes can be cool. That's
Yeah.
true.
That's
Okay, yeah, I see what you're saying. Just a little bit of like fan service, not in the tits and ass sense of the word, but just like, you know, for the fans. Let's get some action in here.
Yeah,
That kind of happened in this episode, but
a little bit,
Yeah.
but you know,
So do you think there's going to be more? Because the episode ends with the Major getting shot in the eye, directly under the eye.
Basically in the face.
Yeah. Do you think the flashback's going to be continued in the next episode? And then like wrapped up in maybe 5 minutes or something, and then we flash forward again to the present?
That's a good question. I don't really have a solid answer for that. My guess would be no. Because remember, they've left other endings completely off the next episode for no apparent reason.
Oh, yeah, I know what you're talking about. At the end of episode 5.
Yeah.
Did we ever figure out for sure whether that guy was Gilbert's brother? Because they look so similar.
Not really. I remember they mentioned the flashback the episode after, but it was for
No, they
2
didn't.
seconds. Yeah, they did.
In episode 6? The observatory
no,
one?
in episode 7
Yeah,
they
it was
mentioned
2 episodes later. Violet reflects on him, telling her, you have feelings? You have feelings?
You?
Yeah, that's 2 episodes later.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, that's a good point. In light of the fact that the show teased a little ending at the end of the 5th episode, and then followed it up with a big fat nothing. Maybe they'll do that in this one too. Like maybe they'll just view the Gilbert getting shot in the head. They'll just be like, oh, that was dramatic enough. Let's just tell a completely new story. But where is Violet now? Because it wasn't as though this entire episode was a flashback.
No, there were probably about 2 minutes worth that weren't.
Where she goes to the Gilbert's estate or their manor or something.
Right.
Or mansion, one of those. And she asks, is Gilbert here?
And then she sees his grave.
Yeah, that's true. I forgot about that. She does see his grave, and she's
she
like,
also
his name is here on his tombstone. What?
As opposed to where?
As opposed to being on, the tombstone to the left.
Right.
What if a cemetery was set up that way? Like all the tombstones, the body was just in the next plot over.
Just to mess with grave robbers?
No, just to mess with the families who are there to, pay their respects.
Well, they'd still be able to pay their respects. They'd just be technically on the wrong body.
They'd be looking down at the ground. There's actually a different person's body down there.
They just have no idea. We also did see her visit the Major's brother.
Yep.
And he's like,
you didn't know?
You didn't know? He did.
He did. I killed him. Faux show.
Found his tags. No body.
No crime.
The glove don't fit.
You must
have mechanical hands.
Her gloves fit just fine.
Yeah, I guess.
All right, we're losing the thread here.
Yeah, we're losing some.
Darling in the Franks, episode 8.
Episode 8.
So the beach episode was the last one. I know you didn't like that one very much. I didn't either, honestly.
We didn't like it for different reasons, though, to be fair.
Yeah. So in this episode, there's arguably more fan service. In fact, the scene at the start with that, they're just shown in combat, like out in the field fighting with the Klaxosaurs, and they happen to fight against a monster that spews acid, and the FranXX just happen to work in such a way that the girls represent the body of the FranXX.
So it melts away their suit.
It melts away their suit, yeah, and the guys are all like, "Oh,
nosebleeds.
I see booty, yahar, shiver me timbers." But that's just stapled to the front of this episode.
Yeah,
it is more egregious than what happened last week.
Yeah, I kind of face palmed at that, but
then it quickly moves into the
battle of the sexes.
Yes, that's a very good way of putting it. That's what this episode is. And I didn't think it was super inspiring.
I actually enjoyed this episode. I like the boys versus girls, put the tape down the middle, and without thinking of the consequences of doing it.
How many works of fiction have employed the literal divide a structure in half and guys on one half and girls on the other?
I don't know, 1 billion It's not an
I mean,
original
not
concept.
a billion.
I'm not saying it's an original concept.
Okay, right. So it's not original, but that doesn't mean it can't be good. So why was this episode, why did it stand out for you? Why was it good?
I like that idea for an episode.
So you literally are saying that the concept is good.
Well,
if you like that idea, if that's your...
Did I say it was bad? No.
No, but we just got through talking about how it's not inherently good, but it can be done well, let's say.
Or you can like that because you think it's funny and you think it's like, a trope or something like that.
Well, it's certainly a trope.
Yeah.
It's a big fat one. It's the mother of all, gender related tropes or sex or whatever the proper term is.
We were correct.
What were we correct about?
I was correct about my prediction.
What's that?
That they're different and that they're an experiment in puberty and stuff.
We knew that for sure.
Yeah.
One of the guys in episode 7, or I think it's episode 7, one of the council members literally says that Hiro is like a failed special specimen. Yeah, they're definitely experiments, or they're clones or something.
Right. We also learned about the previous Squad 13.
Yep.
And how they're all dead.
Yeah, I thought that was bizarre at the very end when I can't remember that girl's
Miki?
name. No,
I think that's her name.
Isn't
Miko?
it like Mitsuru?
It starts with an M and an I.
Mitsuru? I don't know. She sees that photo and she starts to hyperventilate and like her pupils get dilated. She freaks out. Why? She recognizes that the manor that they live in now is in the background. She sees that they're all wearing the same suit, the same uniforms that they usually wear.
So she assumes they're all dead. And so she assumes her fate will be the same.
I don't... Okay, sure. That makes sense. But isn't that something that you might process over the course of, minutes as opposed to seconds? She like just the very image in the photo, not anything that it represents, but just looking at it causes her to just break down in abject horror. And that is not how like processing things mentally works.
Maybe not for you.
I guess my neurons are just too old and slow.
Yep.
I'm just not on the same level as this 2D girl.
Yep.
The fact that her brain is 2D, everything about her is 2D, means the information travels more quickly because it doesn't have to move through
less
that
distance.
Yeah, there's
no third dimension.
There's one less dimension through which the information has to travel.
And these characters are 2D in more than one way.
That's true. Okay, so you liked it. I didn't really. Yeah, let's move away from her processing of the picture. So they draw the line down the center of the manor, the bird cage, or whatever their house is called.
Right.
Because the girls are like offended by the boys' perviness.
Sure.
And of course the resolution is, yeah, boys are pervy and they're stupid, but we can't live without them. Defend that.
What's to defend?
That's just retarded.
How is that retarded? How is that not a logical realization?
Well, it isn't logical. I wouldn't say that you would reach that conclusion based on logic, especially because the kids don't even really understand why boys and girls are supposed to be together. They don't really get it. So it isn't a logical conclusion.
Maybe they realize that I wrote about it here. Hang on.
All right. Let's scroll to your notes.
I think I watched it first.
Check it out. What do you see?
Oh, shit. Did I even write about it? Fuck.
You wrote IDK. I thought it was IT. Not much to write home about. Yep. Pretty much.
And then I keep elaborating. Anyways, whatever.
I mean, why? So the girls are like, oh, I guess we can't live without the boys. And the boys, they're like, oh, I guess we can't live without the girls. Because the guys are complaining about how women are just too much trouble. And the girls are upset that the boys are...
And Hiro's like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, girls are the greatest.
Is that what he says?
No.
He talks specifically about 02.
Right.
And about how he, like, really... Okay, I definitely wrote something about this. So let me check. Please stand by. Wait, maybe I didn't. Oh, okay, yeah. Hiro says that as a result of his relationship with Zero Two, and like watching her, I don't know, like become closer with everyone, he starts to understand the female perspective, and he realizes that, oh yeah, we all need to just cooperate, and we need to, be friends and work together.
No, that's not it. I just remembered now that you said that. Is
Okay.
that he's because when he was basically like blacked out and she's trying to save them or to survive in the FranXX by herself, the women are the body of the FranXX.
That's
and
true.
The men are like the brain or the controller, essentially.
Just like in real life.
Back to work, Mom. Wait, what? Anyways, so
Hello?
the women who are more fragile and are more frail than the men are taking the brunt of the physicality of the fight.
Right, yeah, Hiro did say that.
And so he's basically like, we have to defend them. They're
We have to defend our women.
essentially, yeah. I mean, it's what's considered now to be an outdated stereotype that men have to be the protectors of women, but in their case, I guess it makes sense.
Yeah, given the, well, not physiology, because the FranXX aren't alive. Or are they? I don't know. But given the construction of the FranXX, it is true that the women are, the pistols are literally, they're taking all the damage.
Right. And
So they do need to be protected by the stamen, the guys. But let's set aside the question of whether or not it's outdated, whether or not it's
I was kind of joking at that. I was
okay. Well,
taking a stab at things, but anyway,
I see. But it doesn't matter whether that's like, an outdated mode of thinking. What matters is, did the show pull it off? And I don't think it did. They put the tape down the middle, and like, so what? I don't know. I was pretty disappointed. Because it's clear from the very moment that delineation is made that the show is going to comment on the idea that men and women should be together, that they shouldn't be separate. Like it's going for that from moment one. And so as a viewer, I mean, for me personally, my reaction to this episode was I was just waiting. I was just waiting for one character to,
you're waiting for the resolution that you knew would come.
Yeah, well, the resolution, sure, I guess. But what I was waiting for in particular, because of how talky this show is when it gets to its third act, like some character always has to deliver the moral of the story. What I was waiting for was some character to say, men and women should be together. We shouldn't be apart like this. And if that's the way that things are going to go in every episode of this show, where like it begins by, I don't know, attacking some idea that men and women are separate, or that they shouldn't be affectionate with one another, or that you should remain faithful to your partner, or
individuality, or whatever,
or any other topic that the show has tried to take a stab at. If from the moment it first approaches it, you can already see the finish line, then why are you watching?
To enjoy the ride.
I guess there is something, bigger than just that. Like, enjoyment has to trump everything. Like that can come before.
It's the journey, not the destination.
I guess. I mean, it is a TV show. That we're watching week by week. So I don't know, man.
The destination is the end of the show.
I mean, I'm complaining a lot about this episode, but I actually thought it was, it was all right. It was okay.
Yeah, and I liked it.
Dude, what was the deal with her? Okay, so she stole everyone's clothes, right? So they would be naked.
Except everyone had towels.
Yeah. Okay, so not naked, but she stole their clothes.
Right.
And then, do you remember the scene where she's up on the roof and she
just throws them?
Yeah. Do you remember what happened with the aspect the aspect ratio?
Yeah.
It went to letterbox format. Like, that's supposed to happen when something really meaningful is going on.
Maybe it was meaningful.
In what way?
don't know.
It obviously represents.
Hang on, let me dissect this real quick.
She's like throwing the clothes into the air, like the clothes are what separates men and women, you know, because they have to wear different clothes, and the clothes just keep our bodies apart. You know, they're like barriers between our hearts, man.
And the bra lands on Hiro's face,
and then she throws.
He's like,
she throws the clothes into the air, and it represents the tearing down of the boundaries between men and women in this society, and it's letterboxed. I loved it.
Careful, Lena.
Who's Lena?
Lena Dunham.
Okay, I know who Lena Dunham is. What does that have to do? Forget it. It was so silly.
It was supposed to be more symbolic of 02 trying to do things that are more, you know, human, trying to have fun with the rest of the group.
Yeah, that's what she said. She wanted to get into a human fight, but I didn't buy that in the least. I think it was an obvious way of delivering the message that, like, men and women they should really be together. I'm just not interested. Like, okay, going back to Kill la Kill, because this show is going to draw lots of comparisons to Kill la Kill. The idea behind Kill la Kill that you could gain power from nudity. That's deeper than just like talking about gender roles. That has to do with like liberation. And a lot of people, when Kill la Kill was airing, were obsessing over, like, oh, is it a feminist show? Is it supposed to be an empowering message? You know, that women shouldn't be afraid to dress however they want. They shouldn't be slut shamed. You know, people were obsessed about that. But there was something like deeper than that to that show. It was about like self-acceptance and just being confident and being like whoever you are in whatever state you're in, you're still yourself, and you should still fight against the people, the things that are trying to hold you down.
And maybe this show's deeper than you think it is.
No, there's no way.
Maybe it's trying to make the argument that gender roles aren't a bad thing. Because
but is that deep? It's still on.
It is now.
It's still on that level.
It didn't used to be deep, but it is now.
It's still on that level where all it's commenting on is like men and women. They should be together. We shouldn't keep the youth from, like.
Or maybe it's commenting and trying to say that men are supposed to be the protectors of women, which is
okay, which
is controversial nowadays.
But if that's the message, that's just nothing. That's boring.
Maybe for us in our culture, but not for them in theirs.
Yeah, maybe it would be more of a revelation to a Japanese person. Like, wait a minute, boys and girls them being together is like allowed. We're supposed to have sex and make babies.
Still have the baby book.
That's true. Oh yeah. Putting aside my problems with this show, because I mean they're mostly based on the fact that I just don't enjoy it. It's more than whatever messages are being pushed from episode to episode. My lack of interest is
deeper than that.
Yeah, it's more than. Ooh, speaking of deepness or depth, yeah, it's more than just that. There's a lot of things that I don't like about it. But anyway, yeah, they have the baby book, and in the last episode when Kokoro, the blonde girl, I guess.
Yeah.
I guess you would call her a blonde.
Sure.
She finds the baby book when she's with Mitsuru, the guy who originally piloted with 02, and he was hospitalized afterwards.
Right.
So they're shown together again in this episode. So I wonder if all the partners are pretty much together right now, and there isn't any disloyalty or unfaithfulness. But I kind of think that she might have a thing for him. And that might be set up by the fact that her partner is like, LOL, he's fat. That's really, really funny. He's always eating because he's fat. And that means he's gross.
Yep. You couldn't see me, but I was nodding.
So I wonder if she's going to, quote unquote, cheat on her stamen.
And maybe the second act of the show will be all about polygamy.
Maybe.
Who knows?
It would be interesting to see some more, you know, what am I trying to say? Combinations. We've seen Mitsuru with 02. We've seen Hiro with Ichigo. Neither of those really worked out that well. One of them didn't even get off the ground. The other one resulted in, you know, like lethal injury.
Right.
But it would be interesting to see some different combinations. I get that the kids are, I mean, assuming that they're genetic experiments, that they're clones, that they're whatever they are, they're probably meant to be with a specific partner. But, you know, it's possible for different people to pilot the FranXX together.
Sure.
Yeah, I kind of think that there's something going on between the two of them. So
I would assume so based on the flowers. And that was pretty obvious that they were trying to throw those two together in that scene.
yeah,
So, you know, this show is, as you've said, not exactly subtle.
no,
It kind of screams with neon lights.
yep. But you know, people like that sort of thing,
Apparently.
and you know, it's show's fine. Whatever. I think so far it's like a sack of garbage, but people can like whatever they like.
People can like hot garbage. Speaking of hot garbage,
What?
I'm halfway through Keijo.
Oh, right. Yeah. There was something else I wanted to say about Darling in the Franxx, though. I think the purple-haired girl with the freckles and the glasses, I think she's gay.
Really?
Yeah. Do you remember when the boys and the girls were still on separate sides of the manor? She says, "I wish I wouldn't mind if it stayed like this forever." And then 02 says, "I smell a secret."
Oh, really? I didn't catch that.
Yeah. She comes up behind her and like licks her neck and says, I smell a secret. Or maybe it was I taste a secret. But it was one of those two. I think it was I smell a secret. And I mean, what else could that mean?
Now that you mention that, I think that could mean, I don't know, maybe she could taste like a dude. Like
Wait, what?
a dude, like she could smell or taste a dude's scent or something.
What do you mean?
Like that she'd been with. So
that she'd be
if we
been
assume
with
that
the guy?
If we assume if we assume there's going to be a partner switch at some point, then purple hair ends up with fat dude.
Oh, okay, yeah.
If the reverse is true.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. If Kokoro and Mitsuru are like getting pushed together, then yeah, but then why would she say I wouldn't mind if it stayed like this forever with the boys and the girls segregated? I mean, it seems to me that she just wants to keep hanging around the girls. She likes girls.
Or maybe she just doesn't like dudes. Or is indifferent.
So you think she's
Bi?
or
I don't
just
know.
like asexual?
Sure, that's possible.
I'm pretty sure she's
Because
gay.
remember all the pilots, you know, when they do their little they make up and it's like, and what is it? Loudmouth and
Zorome is loudmouth.
the dude
Yes.
Yeah.
The little runt.
and pink hair.
02?
No. The red hair.
Yeah, I weren't we referring to her as Mitsuru?
Yeah.
I'm not that confident that that's her name.
Yeah. I thought it was Miki or something.
It's definitely not Miki.
Whatever. So everyone, all the partners like make up somehow, like they
Yep.
like shake hands or one of them bows before the other or
Yeah,
something.
the fatty, I mean that's really mean to say, I guess, but
The obese man.
that's his entire character on this show so far.
Yeah, because the first time that they're trying to pilot the FranXX, Hiro and Ichigo he's sitting on the sideline eating a bag of chips and opens new ones like 3 times.
he's always eating, man. The Japanese people must think that's hilarious.
I guess. I mean, what percentage of their population is obese?
Yeah,
Like,
that's
1.
That's true. I mean, that statistic is probably not true, but it's not a huge crisis like it is here.
No, it's not 50%.
I don't think it's 50% here.
American men, it's like 48 to 50%. It's massive.
Okay, well, rip us.
Yeah.
But why were we talking about him? Oh yeah, he like prostrates himself before Kokoro.
Yeah. He like bows.
Yeah, it's
And like
he doesn't just bow. He like gets on his knees and
worships.
yeah, pretty much.
I get on my knees and pray.
I mean, if I were that guy, I'd be praying too that she doesn't leave. Because she's supposed to have, like, you know how we just had that beach episode, everybody's in their bikinis or whatever. She is, I think, the idea that we're supposed to get is that she has the best body. She's like the curviest.
Right.
And so he's with her, and he's
the curviest though.
That's true. You know what? You're right. I take back what I said.
More cushion for the pushing.
They're meant to be together. More love handles for the love handles.
More grip to flip. I don't know. I don't think that one worked.
Are we about? It could.
The reason I brought that whole thing up was because purple hair and dude who couldn't ride with 02, they kind of just like glanced at each other and did like a head nod and walked away.
Yeah, they don't. Well, there's no chemistry between them because I'm pretty sure purple hair is gay.
That's a good point.
It's just my theory. I really want, you know how multiple times now 02 has alluded to the fact that parasites die, and in this episode she comes
Literally
out and says you are
like,
going to die.
You'll all die.
Yeah. I just want someone to die. I just want the show to go full Gurren Lagann, just kill somebody and ramp up the stakes and see if maybe that'll rescue the show from the pit that it's in.
Was Gurren Lagann 2 core?
It was 27 episodes, so
Okay.
yes. And Kamina, I mean, spoilers.
I haven't seen Gurren Lagann at this point. What are you doing?
Yeah, you should probably watch it just to avoid spoilers in the future.
Yeah, so
He dies in episode 7 or 8, right?
yeah, it's pretty early.
FranXX just got to 8. And I mean, the show's not going to succeed if it's just aping other shows, although that does seem to me to be what it's doing. So I'm not suggesting that it follow Gurren Lagann to the letter, but
I mean,
I want somebody to die.
Right. Well, you don't want somebody to die per se. You want something meaningful to happen.
Well, I'm
something
not sure
that causes a tone shift in the show.
I mean, is that even going to be? Can this show even elicit any feeling from like the depths of my soul if it doesn't involve death?
I don't know.
I just want one of these characters that I hate to disappear.
Which one? The fatty?
No, I want him to be the last one standing, honestly.
Troy, be the first black man to make it to the end of the movie.
I mean, even though the fat guy has the least going on with his character, that also makes him the best character because everybody else in the show's attempt to make them more complex has paradoxically made them really stupid. So, fatty for
President
of the parasites. I'm about done.
I guess we can. Yeah, we talked about that one longer than all the rest. But now it's time
it's
to
the most popular show of the season, and it does offer lots to talk about. I mean, you know,
imagery, lack of imagery.
It wears its one theme on its sleeve so clearly that you could just talk about it forever. Now on to Mob Psycho 100, episodes 3 and 4. This show is really good. I like it.
Yeah, this show is really good.
Got any notes that we can scroll to?
I do.
You sure
Not much
do.
for 3, but some for 4.
So in episode 3, it's the one with the cult.
Yep. The
episode 4 is the one with the rival gangs.
yes.
Or the not gangs, delinquents.
schools.
Yeah. The schools are, one of them is Salt Middle School, the other one is it Pepper or is it
black vinegar or something?
Yes, that sounds right. Yeah. So which one did you like better? That's a good way to kick things off, I think.
Episode 4.
Episode 4 you like better?
Yeah.
Okay.
I just think the Body Improvement Club is hilarious.
Yeah, that's true. They are. It's very refreshing to see school clubs in anime portrayed
In a positive light.
No, I was going to say the opposite almost, because usually clubs are thought of as like the basis for a show. You know, this anime is going to be about the such and such club after school, and that's the entire series is just them faffing about in some club room, and it's usually with 5 characters because you need 5 characters. You need 5 people
to start. Maybe that's real.
I think it is.
I guess so. Otherwise, they wouldn't keep pulling that. That, or nobody can write more than 5 characters competently at the same time.
Or animate. That might be the bigger problem.
Yeah.
But I think that probably is based in anime creators' experience of high school. Is that, you know, maybe it's just like a a common rule that you need 5 people. Anyway, a lot of shows let their clubs dominate them, and that's the entire premise of the show is this is a club.
And I guess these ones are more gags.
They're like the characters are. They're just so colorful and brought to life so well, despite the fact that there are so many clubs. Like it's juggling so many clubs that it's more about the school as a whole and Mob's place in it in relation to all these other people who themselves have clear like motivations and drives. It's just it paints a very vivid portrait of middle school life, I suppose. And it's not so limited in scope that it's like focusing on one club or one character or one set of characters. It really is seeing things from all angles. You've got the slackers in the, what is the name of the club? The psychic club, the Esper club, something
the telepathy club.
Yeah. You've got them, you've got the people who are working to improve themselves, you got the people who are fighting. In one of the early episodes, maybe the second one, there's that bit from the narrator about how in middle school, before it gets down to the nitty-gritty of high school, this is when everyone is like pretty much just pursuing what it is they want to do. Some people are wasting their time, some people are trying to improve themselves, some people are dedicating themselves to sports, to school, to romance.
Right.
And the show is showing that to us like very, very naturally. It didn't just give us that little bit from the narrator and
call it a day.
Yeah, exactly. I just love every member of all the clubs. They're all great. So yes, that was a long response to your claim that the Body Improvement Club is hilarious, which they are. And they're also very like kind-hearted, They're trying to do the right thing always. That's nice. And it's funny because you juxtapose that with their beefy
the jock
appearance.
stereotype.
And then we have the delinquent stereotype,
which holds up.
Yeah, pretty much. But I really like enjoy all the. I mean, a lot of it has to do with their
the
designs.
It shows up episode 4, doesn't it? Not episode 3.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Episode 4 is the one where it's focused on. I can't remember if any of the delinquents show up in a previous episode. But the whole reason the delinquents are brought up in episode 4 is their big war is a way to introduce
a villain.
What's his face?
Right. I just called him blonde-haired kid because I forgot his name.
Yeah, I really should have written his name down. I forget. It starts with a T. It's like
Tsubasa.
That's not it.
No, I know.
I can't remember it. I'm not going to try. Yeah, the other psychic, the guy with the crazy blonde hair. He is being set up as a rival, an antagonist, something like that. And he has really clear powers. But when he blows everybody else away, Mob is still standing there with his arms bound behind his back.
And he just unties himself. It's like, you shouldn't use your psychic powers on other people.
Yeah. How quickly did you figure out that he was a psychic?
Instantly.
Okay.
0 time at all.
Yeah. Because they don't actually say so. Mob says you shouldn't use them against other people. And the guy's like, what are you talking about? Mob says, your powers, you shouldn't use them. I think that's the first time that the show comes out and says that he's a psychic. Because before then, he's introduced as like, the boss of Black Vinegar's delinquents. And you just think of him as a great fighter.
He's the most vinegary of them all.
Right. The most bitter, I guess. He's cool. He's a cool dude.
And we also have the reporter, who apparently is a main character just based on the fact that she's in a theme song.
That's true. Yeah, she's from episode 3, and she reappears in episode 4. So in episode 3, she's one of the 3 people who's captured by the Smile Society, whatever cult is being run by Dimple.
The Genuine Smile Society.
I see what you did there.
Yep. Yeah, she is. And the mask, he's a psychic, which he's not actually a psychic. He's an evil spirit who's trying to ascend to godhood by a non-violent religion of smiling and laughing.
Yeah. It is interesting that he is non-violent, and what he's doing is obviously wrong in the the common sense of the word, because he's taking away he's stripping them of their will.
Right.
Which
is
is
their individuality.
Which is bad. Well, yeah, not just individuality, but they like have no control over themselves.
And you, as you said, they elaborate on that point by giving us reporter girl's internal monologue where she's thinking, it's like, I don't want to do this. I'm not happy. I'm not smiling. But she still is, and she's still laughing.
Right.
And so she's, while everyone on the outside appears happy and content and laughing, on the inside, they're probably all being tortured based on the fact that they're stuck like that.
Maybe. You might come up with the idea that, maybe after a while it does become internalized. Maybe people do give themselves over completely to the hypnosis. But it is, I line myself up more with what you're saying. Because I think what's going on in this episode, the message, here we go about messages again.
Oh boy!
What we're supposed to take away from this episode is that even though everyone's laughing and even though he's not being violent, he's suppressing people's negative feelings and not allowing their sadness or their jealousy, their anger, their bitterness. He's not allowing that to show. He's not allowing people to express it because he wants to use them for his own gain. And so he's ignoring the way they actually feel. And Mob's journey as a character is
suppressing his feelings.
Yeah.
Because his feelings essentially level him up.
Well, his feelings cause him to lose control. So
I don't think he loses control because he didn't just blow the place up. I mean, he's very targeted in everything he's doing. He moves all the people out of harm's way and he fights. I think it talks about it that he learned to essentially like repress his abilities as a young age in order to seem normal or to seem, like not different or scary to other people.
Right. So what Dimple as the cult leader is doing to all of his followers is the same thing that Mob is imposing on himself. And I think the idea in Mob Psycho where Mob is looking for meaning. He wants to figure out what it is he's supposed to be doing. He asks everyone that. He asks Reagan. He asks he mostly asks himself, I suppose.
Yes, his brother.
Yeah. That's true. They have that conversation as they're walking to school, and he's talking about the fact that, oh yeah, you can't do everything with psychic powers. But his brother is another matter entirely. His brother has his own.
His brother wishes he was psychic.
Yeah, his brother has his own thing going on. But I that's what I think Mob Psycho is trying to do. It's pushing the idea that you should be open with your emotions.
I'm not sure which episode it was. It was episode 4 that the gag was in. But it showed a picture. They were looking for the bowl-haired god.
Yeah. And then that sketch of him is imposed on top of his face.
Right. And I thought that sketch was probably the original artist's drawing of Mob.
Yeah, probably.
Just like it was in One Punch Man when they did that.
Yeah, probably a similar gag. That was pretty funny.
I also thought it was interesting when he powered up, he goes from the stylized character, the way that one draws him, to your stereotypical anime style of drawing.
Well, it was
like he gets the triangular face and like the cool hair, and he like looks more fit instantly and all that.
Did he look more fit? I didn't get that at all. I think
so. Like his clothes almost looked like they were form fitting almost. Like they looked.
Oh wow.
They looked better.
Okay,
that's the impression I got.
I missed that detail, but yeah, he definitely went Super Saiyan. That was the idea. And
he got his angular face rather than his. Oh?
I missed that too. Huh. I guess I was just too fixated on his hair.
Yeah, because his hair
glorious
starts, like,
wavy hair.
Wavy and flowing, and like that took a long time to do.
Well, anime also trains you to like stare at characters' hair because you can't bear to look at the other badly drawn, badly animated, limbs.
Or is it just DBZ that trained us to look at hair because they made it grow a million times?
Well, DBZ, yeah, but a lot of attention is paid to hair and eyes in anime characters.
Well, it's what you look at a person. Generally speaking, you spend most of your time looking at someone's eyes.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. So yeah, Mob, he does power up, and yeah, he doesn't lose control. I was wrong of me to say that, but think about why
his potential.
Think about why he keeps his emotions hidden most of the time.
One of the reasons he's
afraid of what people will think.
He's afraid of what people will think, as well as, the girl he likes. His psychic abilities don't impress her.
Not for more than like 15 seconds.
Yeah, so he's like, even if I did all this cool stuff, it wouldn't impress anybody. It wouldn't change, it wouldn't change my life if I just went around flying godhood and throwing buildings. People wouldn't be impressed, is at least his train of thought, which I'm sure he could do.
Right. But on the other hand, his brother Ritsu, when he's interviewed by the school journalist, the newspaper girl.
Do middle schools have newspapers?
I think in Japan, I mean, I'm not an expert on Japan despite having seen so many of their cartoons, but like in high school, clubs are like life. You have to be a part of like, a club or multiple clubs, and it's just, and you spend like all day at school. You go to school, and then after that, you either go to cram school or you're there until the sun sets for your club. So I think middle schools probably do have that kind of stuff as a training ground for high school, if I had to guess.
I would say,
anyway,
I couldn't do that.
Well, I mean, it's totally different for us.
I know it is, and that's why I didn't want to say that. But
so Ritsu he's being interviewed by that girl, and he's like, well, I can't remember exactly what he says to her. He's like, my brother is special, and I always assumed I would have those powers. Or maybe that's what he starts telling himself after he's gone home from the interview. But we're meant to feel, based on his dialogue or his monologue, that he's like, he has an inferiority complex. Even though the newspaper girl remarks that, he's good at sports, he gets good grades, he's attractive. Although it's kind of hard to tell who's attractive and who's not in this show.
Everyone's kind of
gross.
Meh. Except Reigen.
And the Body Improvement Club.
Yeah.
Are obviously all studs.
Those 10-year-olds that look like they're 20.
Middle school in Japan goes all the way up to 9th grade.
When does it start?
7th grade. 7, 8, 9. That's common here too. The next county over from where we live, that's how middle school is.
Okay, ours is 6, 7, 8.
Yeah. But that's not the case everywhere. In fact, I might say that like when you take the entire world into account, how they split up the elementary, middle, and high schools, theirs might be more normal than ours.
So in 8th grade, what age are you generally?
You're turning 14 in 8th grade.
So everyone's like 13 years old.
In this show?
Roughly.
I don't know what year they are. I kind of think that Mob is a second-year student.
Yeah. So second year would be 8th grade.
Yeah. So I guess he's 13 or 14.
I always assumed everyone was like 10.
No.
I don't know why.
Yeah, well, it's...
Because I'm just dumb.
No, the art style makes it hard to determine how old people are. The further away your character designs get from reality, the tougher it is to make that call.
Especially when you start being like, hey, everyone's in middle school. And you're like,
Well, for a Japanese audience, they would know what to think as soon as they heard that.
Yeah, I know.
Anyway, I think Ritsu is really interesting. Even though we haven't seen him do much, except for, have that interview with the girl,
and
hang out with his brother, and be showered with adoration by his mom at the dinner table. It does seem as though Ritsu has everything and Mob has nothing. But the one thing that Ritsu wants
is what he can't have.
Right. But it's the same for Mob. He wants the girl to like him. Even though he has all the power in the world, he has godlike power. But what he wants, he can't have. Which
is why he joins the Body Improvement Club and passes out.
Right. But I think, and Dimple, the one thing he wants, is
to be a god.
Yeah, the one thing he wants is influence. But the one person who he can't influence is the person with whom he is now partnered. In this show, every character has a clear desire,
like a clear roadblock.
Yeah, and they have kind of like a fatal flaw almost, or something that they're missing at the very least.
Well, everybody has a fatal flaw.
Yeah, but not everybody in fiction does, because not all characters are written in that way. In this show, though, I think that it works very well. I think there's actually some very classical storytelling going on here. And I've seen the whole show, so I can't comment on whether it holds on to that until the end. But I really like all the characters. They're easy to grasp, but at the same time, their predicament is it's lifelike, which I appreciate.
It is well written, which is such a I'm not saying One Punch Man isn't well written, but it's a stark contrast to One Punch Man. They're very different works. They're very similar in that their main character is
Super strong,
grossly overpowered, and not so much doesn't know it, but doesn't use it. Like, One Punch Man is a C class,
Saitama is a C class hero. Yeah.
Saitama is a C class hero, right. When he first registers, and he's more powerful than anyone else by a long shot.
Yeah.
Whereas it's the same thing with Mob. He's, as far as we can tell, he's more powerful than anybody else, but he reserves himself, albeit for different reasons. For Saitama, it's pure laziness.
Well, I think you're actually drawing a parallel between the two shows. You were talking about how they were different, but that's a way in which they're the same.
The parallel.
It's good that they have that in common. It's not good that they're the same. There are lots of things that are different about them. I'm not trying to say that the shows should be the same, that it's good to just take that theme and run with it in all your works. What I am saying is that a lot of anime, when their main character is super strong, they tend to flatter that character and to worship that character. And so that you, the audience member, will be like, man, wow, this guy's really cool. I just want to watch this guy be cool and strong.
And Saitama can't catch a fly.
Yeah, neither of one's big manga have that problem. They're not interested in, sucking up to their audience through the strength of the protagonist. Like something Overlord, for example, is the main character is a super badass guy, and everybody's like, "Oh, you're so great, you're so sexy, and I love you." I mean, I haven't seen all of Overlord, but
you're not wrong.
That's the impression that I got from the first 3 episodes.
Especially when you
these shows are not like
one
that.
of the characters where that is their entire purpose.
Yeah, Mob Psycho is not. It's not like that. It's interested in the human struggle of its characters. And that's not just something that action anime struggle with. That's something that anime and television in general, films, whatever. It's hard to write good characters. I think after 4 episodes, I think the show has them. We'll see whether that continues, because it's not a guarantee, but it's off to a good start.
I think so. Yeah, I really enjoy it. I like the characters. I think the show's funny.
Yeah, it is really funny.
I like the animation. It's good and weird at the same time.
Yeah. It's what I don't want to classify it as experimental. But
some parts of it are where some of the spirits appear as paintings.
Yeah, we were talking about the paint on glass in the last podcast episode.
That is definitely something I've never seen before, and it's almost unsettling.
Interesting.
Because of the way it moves.
It moves so differently from everything else in the show that it does convey kind of the otherworldliness.
Only the exact piece of it that needs to moves at that one time.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I see what you mean. Yeah.
It's cool.
It is cool. Yeah. The show looks great. It's tightly constructed. It's a lot of fun too. I mean, you can't just be, holding your pinky finger up in the air and being like, "Oh, wow, look at this character development, guys. Look at all the character development and look at my characters and how they're developing." Your show has to be entertaining and attractive to people.
Can't just be stick figures. It can't be Bob. This is Bob.
Right. Can't just be Bob. Rest in peace.
Long live Dwayne.
I was gonna say something else, but I was gonna nitpick about Crunchyroll's translation, because if you get something from horrible subs, they're crunchy subs, most of the time, and some of the translation,
And it's crunchy because it's hard to swallow.
sure is, man. Some of it was like badly executed.
Yeah.
The get a clue thing. That's
not. I guess that's not what that was supposed to be.
it's close enough for the average viewer. But I am not your average viewer. I've watched so much anime with subtitles that I know a few Japanese words now.
Baka.
It wasn't great. They could have done better. But that's not important.
That's fine. Well, I mean, it is important because it has to do with how you read a character. If it's a bad translation, you can get the wrong impression, like we experienced with the fact that we're using different subs for Violet Evergarden.
Yeah, although that hasn't been too big of a problem. I mean, yeah, it's fine. I don't want to get into it because it's not really worth getting into. The people, they're doing their best. They're providing an amazing service that we're stealing. So really, I can't complain.
Woo!
All right, we're about done. Is there anything else you'd like to say about Mob Psycho? I'm sorry, shouldn't have cut you off there.
I like the spirit. How he's just now like
Dimple?
a gas cloud who just follows him around.
Yeah, I think it's great that he maintains the little red splotches on his cheeks that were on his mask when he was the cult leader,
and on his face when he was giant.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, it's good. It's a good little element of his character design that transfers between all of his forms, so you can clearly link them. But it's not just a visual marker. It also kind of gives him an innocence, like if somebody's rosy cheeked, it kind of gives the impression of youth.
But he's impish.
Yeah, exactly. Like he's despite being so sinister in his ambition to control the world, he is kind of playful and silly.
Yeah.
So that part of his design works on multiple levels, I feel.
I loved his interaction with Reigen. Where he shows I'm not getting even a hint of spiritual energy from this guy.
Yeah.
Did I tell him? Nah. I can't see him. He registers so low that he doesn't exist.
Yeah, his Reagan's like his bluster is really entertaining. And it's interesting that he's such a good friend to Mob, despite taking advantage of Mob the way that a lot of other people do. It's worth noting that after Mob, his power, what was it called? His emotional disturbance. What is the percent thing?
It's his.
What does it measure? Like,
it measures like his breaking point for how much of his emotions he can contain before he just goes and bleh.
Right, I understand that, but I was trying to remember the exact phrase, on the screen.
I don't remember.
Okay. It's interesting to note that after he got up to 100%, after Reagan told him, what is it exactly that he tells him in his office? Shoot. Okay, yeah.
He's at 0.
Yeah, he's at 0. He tells Mob, this guy was using mind control, and because you're resistant to that, you're the only one who could have saved those people. And right after he says that, you see that Mob is at 0%. So he's, he gets through to Mob. They are friends in a sense.
Yeah.
Even though Reagan is taking him for a ride.
And then Spirit Man.
Dimple?
Wow. Well, why did I think it started with a B?
I don't know.
Shows up and instantly 20%.
Yeah, that's true. Whew, okay.
You want to rate them shows, boy?
Oh, yeah, I forgot we were going to do that. Let's do that real fast.
Let's do a real smooth, like.
Darling and the Franks and Mob Psycho probably took up half this podcast by themselves.
Yeah. I actually think they did.
All right. 5th place.
Kokkoku.
Ramens.
Okay. 4th.
Evergarden.
3rd.
FranXX. 2nd.
Ramens.
Kokkoku.
And 1st was Sora Yori.
Yeah, I don't know. Like this is the highest I've ever ranked FranXX, and it feels weird to do that. It also feels weird, even though I liked Kokkoku more than FranXX, probably. It wasn't a good episode. I'm just disappointed.
I mean, that's
all around.
That's how I felt too. I haven't, except for the standout giant action sequence, ranked FranXX terribly high either. But I thought it did well enough today.
Yeah, I kind of feel the same way. I mean, I'm just tired.
Or is it just the bar is so fucking low for that show that it's just like, well, might as well give it a 3.
I don't know. I'm just, maybe it's that I don't like how popular the show is. Maybe I'm just being like contrary. The thing that I don't, I understand its mass appeal, but the thing that I don't really appreciate about it is that the show has really nothing to offer in terms of, I don't know, anything. I don't like the character designs, but more than that, it's about, why don't you just rewatch Evangelion, Gurren Lagann, or Kill la Kill? Why don't you just rewatch one of those instead of this? This is a rehash, and it isn't saying anything new. We didn't need this vehicle for what FranXX is telling us.
Gotta sell toys somehow, man.
Yeah, the figures are probably gonna fly off the shelves, and the little figurines of the girls, they'll probably be hotcakes.
Right. Since they're all wearing skin tight suits.
Yeah, boy.
Just as the figurines for Eva flew off the shelves as well.
Yeah.
When they finally came out, I don't know if they were tied with the show or not.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a problem with their outfits. It's the show as a whole that I don't like. But you know what? I'm harping on it. Shouldn't be doing that. Episode's over.
Yep. So until next time,